Well, I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but somehow 6 new Hoyas showed up in the last few weeks. And since it's the start of a new month, I thought we'd take a moment and take a look at them. And I also thought I'd show you some not plant tools that I use on a regular basis. So join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at new Hoyas and not plant tools. Before we get things underway, a whole bunch of thank yous. First off, thanks to everybody who responded to the question about whether or not you use plant stakes. It seemed kind of divided. There wasn't a clear preference. I'm betting that it was somewhat divided by age, but I could be wrong. About half of the folks said they use plant stakes. Other half of the folks said they have it somehow on their phone. They either take a picture of the plant and store it with the information, or there are a couple different ways that people stored it on their phone. I never think of my phone for that kind of stuff. I always think of it as a phone that takes pictures. But then I'm old, so what can you do about that? The next thank you goes out to Alva for Joe 2117, who let me know that the plural of genus is genera. I know a lot of you think I'm old enough, I probably grew up speaking Latin, but that's not quite the case. But I'm going to try and learn a little bit more and get better at it. So, Alva for Joe 2117, thank you very much. And the last thank you goes out to a regular Canadian viewer. And so because she's Canadian and I know that they speak 2 languages in Canada, Québécois et l'autre, I'm guessing that her name is Kimbermois. But she got on her phone and did some research for me and found out that the Sir William Hooker that we mentioned last week, and I got to read this, who was the author of the London Journal of Botany containing figures and descriptions of plants together, on and on, was the father of Joseph Dalton Hooker. And they both at one point served as director of Kew Gardens, which was very cool. And so, Kimbermois, thank you. I appreciate that. So the new kids are all lined up over here and the not plant tools are all ready for you too. So let's get this week's episode underway. And the first new kid up today is this Hoya amicabilis. Now, amicabilis is native to Java, Central Java specifically, and I'm going to butcher this and I apologize, Puoregeo. I tried. It was first collected in March of 2017 and published in 2019 in the Nordic Journal of Botany by Sri Rahayu and Michaela Rhode. And Michaela, you still haven't called. So I'm waiting. This is kind of neat. The blossoms are kind of a pale yellowish bell shape. And so that's kind of interesting. But I think the real reason I decided to get it was because of the name. It's named after social media. From the Latin, amicabiliter interventus, which means friendly intervention. And it was named so because botanists, scientists, and others are using social media now to connect and share information. And if you notice in some of my descriptions about where the plants come from, I can tell you like exactly where. There's even map coordinates. And so part of that is all due to technology and social media. This is looking okay. It's at a weird angle. So if you notice that this leaf is upside down, this one's, well, he's seen better days, but there's new growth in there and looks like a new leaf forming. Actually, a couple new leaves. So yeah, if you order plants online, sometimes you know that things happen in transit, and I don't expect my plants to be perfect when they show up because I'll get them and I'll take care of them. Or I'll kill them, one or the other, but more likely than not, I'll take care of them. So we'll see what comes from this. Yeah, I'm excited to have this one. It's going to be kind of cool. I don't have anything that blooms quite like it. So yeah, that's going to be neat. This one came from Plant Haven, Toronto. And for the folks in the US, yes, they do ship to the US. So don't let that put you off. This is very cool. This is Hoya amicabilis. Next kit up today is this Hoya mindorensis. Now, Hoya mindorensis is native to Borneo and the Philippines. It was first published in 1906 in the Philippine Journal of Science by our friend Friedrich Richard Rudolf Schlechter. I had heard that this little Hoya can be finicky, difficult. Wait, I got to cover me and show the leaves. There we go. And while I appreciate getting that information from other people or seeing it in their videos or reading it in their notes, if I find out it's going to be difficult, I tend to just ignore it immediately because I'm very optimistic about how my plants are going to grow. So yeah, I just went ahead and ordered one, and if it's difficult, that's how it turns out to be. This is a really healthy vine. It seems to have traveled okay. I don't expect anything to happen on the top part of the vine. You know, if there were delicate leaves there, and it looks like there were some, you know, they weren't happy with being shipped. But everybody else, the leaves are nice and firm. They look healthy. This has only been here a few weeks, so we'll see how it does. This one too came from Plant Haven, Toronto, and this is Hoya mindorensis. And the next Hoya that magically showed up on my doorstep is Hoya brassii. Now, Hoya brassii is native to New Guinea, the western province of New Guinea, near the Palmer River. And I have the note that says 2 miles below the junction with the Black River at an elevation of 100 meters. It was first collected in 1936 by Leonard John Brass, and was published in 2017 in Gardens Bulletin by Paul Irwin Forrest and David Little. But it was officially published by Nathaniel Simonson and Michaela Rhode in 2017. And I'm starting to learn about what some of these notes mean on herbarium sheets. So it appears that Paul Irwin Forrest and David J. Little saw it, reported it, but didn't meet all the criteria for officially publishing it. So that's what Nathaniel Simonson and Michaela Rhode did, which is why all their names show up as sort of publishers. Anyway, this is very neat. Those leaves, if it will decide to focus for me, were just, that's what did it. It was those leaves, and it's not focusing. Not wanting to focus. They are very cool. Long, narrow, there's some slight raised veins in them. There's new growth on the tip of that. That's very encouraging. I think a plant of these leaves is going to be really, really beautiful. The plant was named after Leonard John Brass. You may remember I mentioned him earlier. He's the one who originally collected the specimen in 1936 on the Fly River expedition of the American Museum of Natural History. And so this plant was named in his honor. This is very cool. I am looking forward to this one because I think, as I said, a plant with these leaves is going to be just amazing. This one came from Rare Herbs Garden NJ on Etsy, and this is Hoya brassii. Next new one up is this Hoya hypolasia. Now, Hoya hypolasia is native to Papua New Guinea and was first discovered in 1908 and published in 1913 by our friend Friedrich Rudolf Richard Schlechter in Botanische Jahrbucher für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie. I've heard that this one too can be a little, let's say, problematic, but those leaves are just neato. I mean, that's very cool. I don't think it'll focus well enough for you to see just how fuzzy they are. And they're fuzzy on both sides. I'll put some close-ups over here. But yeah, beautiful blossoms, but I'm not the best judge of that because I think most Hoya blooms are, pretty special. This one traveled okay, no difficulties. Two of the leaves look really well. The other one looks like he's had a rough time, but I'm sure it won't. There's a new growth point there, and there's another one over on this other vine, which I'm sure I won't be able because the camera's just arguing with me today. There we go. So yeah, if there's two growth points on this plant, that's very cool. The leaves are, come on, focus for me. Very neat, very pretty. And looking at this now, I seem to start to see sort of a pattern here with kind of very long lanceolate leaves. So, and looking at what else is on the list, it continues. So this is cool. I'm excited to see how this one grows. This one also came from Rare Herbs Garden NJ on Etsy, and this is Hoya hypolasia. And the next new one up has been on my wish list for well over a year, but the prices were very high, higher than I wanted to spend. So I just left it alone and didn't go there. I left it on my list, but I would check occasionally. But finally, one came down in the upper end of the range I was willing to do, and so I picked it up. And this is Hoya paradisea NS11159. Now, this is native to New Guinea. It was found in New Guinea in the Western Province, on the Black River near Dahamo village at a height of 100 meters. And, oh, now you'll focus for me. Okay, well, maybe you won't. The leaves are very, very pretty, very neat. This was first published in 2022 in Blumea, Tijdschrift voor de Systematiek en de Geographie der Planten. Blumea, a journal of plant taxonomy and plant geography by Nathaniel Simonson and Michaela Rhode. And it was collected in 2018. Are you seeing the theme here with the leaves? I hadn't really paid attention, but I am now. This one's got some really nice roots going on in there. So I was very happy. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. That's cool. The name paradisea is kind of a tribute to the rainforests of New Guinea, which are sometimes referred to as paradise forests. Rainforests of New Guinea are exceptionally diverse, so there's a lot of fauna and flora probably yet to be discovered therein. This one has beautiful fuzzy blooms. It's labeled pink, so which I fine. You know, you take what you get. This plant seems to come with that color blooms, so this is what I'm working with. I'm excited to see it grow. Again, I think a whole plant of leaves that are shaped like that could be very, very nice. And yeah, it's going to be very soon ready to move. I'm going to try moving it to pond. Well, we'll see how it goes coming out of this. This is a really nice mix that it came in. I'll see what happens when I remove it, and whether or not it goes into pond or whether it goes into organic. Anyway, this is Hoya paradisea NS11159. And the last new kid up today is this Hoya mamasa. Now, Hoya mamasa was found in West Sulawesi, near Mamasa. It's native to Sulawesi. It was collected in 2020 and published in 2022 in Gardens Bulletin by Sri Rahayu, Roland Putra Pribadi Ahmad, and Michaela Rhode. And though I had seen a picture of this online when it arrived and I opened it up, I took a look and went, that is really keen. That is so neat. I knew the leaves were small. I didn't know they were going to be that small. And I don't know if it shows up here. I'll put some close-ups, but the leaves are a little fuzzy. And that's very neat. The blossoms on this one are interesting. The blooms themselves are shaped the way insularis blooms are shaped the way insularis blooms are shaped. And I'll put a still of my insularis when it was blooming. I'll put it over here. But rather than, insularis, the blooms all come out and face toward the inside. On mamasa, they seem to cluster as a group facing in one direction. I haven't seen it live yet, so I'm not exactly sure. But like I said, this is just keen. I'm very excited for this. Unless it turns into a grow monster, I probably have room to fit this in my collection. So yeah, this is very cool. This plant, Hoya mamasa, and the one before it, the Hoya paradisea NS11159, both came from TQ Hoyas on Etsy. And this is Hoya mamasa. In the course of my plant adventures, I have collected a number of tools that were not ever designed for plants to begin with. And I'm pretty sure everyone else is in this same category. But I use most of these almost every day. So my suggestion is keep your eye out for some of them. They can be really handy. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is this squeeze bottle. And the first time I saw this, I was in high school in a laboratory. And by squeezing the bottle, you drive water up through this nozzle, and there's nothing amazing about that, except that it does let you direct where the liquid's going to go. I found these on that big river store. They're really cheap. And if you're watering cuttings or just adding a little bit of moisture to a plant, I use this all the time. The next one up is a pair of tweezers. And I found these as a kitchen implement for chefs to arrange things prettily on your plate before it's presented to you at the posh restaurants that we all go to. I use this regularly. If you've got spent blossoms or something you need to go in and grab, this is ideal, and this was cheap. At the time, this was probably $6. I think I actually got a set of two. This one is curved. I think the other one I got is straight, doesn't have that bend to it. I use that one for my bonsai. I use this one for all my other plants. This is really, really handy. These are, well, let's see. I also invested in a handy dandy measuring tape that's in both English and metric. And these are measuring in at, that's probably what they call an 8-inch tweezer, which is just a little over 20 centimeters. Handy dandy tool. Next one up is a chopstick, and everybody's got one of these already and everyone uses. But on the off chance that there's somebody out here who doesn't have a chopstick as part of their plant tools, order some Chinese food just to get the chopsticks, okay? These are really handy. Yeah, no news there. My next one is a watercolor paintbrush. Now, I use this a whole lot. I use it for, on the occasions when I have a mealybug or two show up, I can dip this in alcohol and I can get in places. I'm looking around for something to demonstrate, but I'll put a little video over here. This brush tip will get in places that a cotton swab will not. It's reusable, just wash it out well. And so you're not throwing something away every time you use it. You can also use this to clean stuff off of leaves, if you're that picky, and I sometimes am. And I've also used this to dust with sulfur. So if I get a new plant, and I keep using this paradisea, and I have not checked this is still in isolation, I have not checked it for any mites, but if I were going to dust this, I would dip the tip of the brush in some sulfur powder and then just dab it around rather than going through the whole mix of, and the spray bottle and all that stuff. Or if you want to mix up a little sulfur powder in water and brush it on, this is just a great tool. I use this a lot. You can find these on any art supply store, hobby and craft store. This one, does it say what it is? It's probably a sable bristle. I would get a natural bristle rather than plastic. It's just a little bit softer. Yeah, I use this a lot. This one you're going to look at and go, what? This is a piece of plastic. It measures 6 3/4, which is about 17.2 centimeters, by 4 1/4, which is just under 11 centimeters. This comes as part of packaging in a deli product that I buy, and it's great. I use this frequently, primarily as a scoop, because I can scoop stuff up and then turn that scoop really narrow for filling pots, for scooping up pon or other substrate. So it's like a bench scraper in cooking. It's like a scoop for a metal scoop. Yeah, I use these a lot. And since I regularly buy that deli product, I have a supply of these. If you don't, then cut a piece of plastic out of the side of a detergent bottle, or a bleach bottle, or a 1 gallon jug, a 4-liter jug. Another thing, never intended as a plant tool, and I use it all the time as one. Next one up is a dish drainer. This I found on that big river store. If you take your plants to, for example, the kitchen sink, you can maybe get 6 plants in the sink, but with this on the side and this drainage lip, you can essentially double the number of plants you're watering at a time. So this was under $10 US at the time of the filming of this, and I use this every week because watering your plants is fun to go and check on them, but sometimes it's a chore you just need to get done quickly. And if you can water your plants or water twice as many of your plants at a time, this is a really good thing to use. And the next thing up looks similar, but this is just essentially a plastic cafeteria tray. And you're thinking, okay, so if I'm taking plants to the sink or to the shower, I can carry 2 at a time. I can carry 6 to 8 at a time. Or with my succulents, I can set them all in here and give them pretty much a through watering. I don't have to worry about water coming out the bottom. So for carrying more than 2 plants at a time, I use this for potting. It's small enough, it fits under my sink, and I can tuck it away there. This is another one of those things I use on a very regular basis. Nothing fancy, found it on that big river store, and this is a good thing for me. And my next little non-plant tool is a bucket and a strainer. The bucket, I don't even know how long this has been around the house. The strainer I got at the dollar store, although it's now like $1.25 or $1.50. Bucket, strainer, plant in bucket and strainer, and when you water through, the water can run out the bottom of the bucket, out of the plant, into the strainer. This plant is really dry. By the way, this is Dracaena circulosa. It's one of my favorites. I should have shown it to you before I watered it, but it's very cool. Remember the Dracaena family. I use this setup almost daily. If you've got a large plant that you don't want to take to the sink, then you can take the bucket and strainer to the plant and just set it in and water through. If you've got a number of plants around a room, like I was watering the den last night, so I just set this down and moved the plants in and out of here rather than moving them all to the sink. Again, a really cheap hack, works really well for me, and as I said, I use it almost every day. And as sort of a spin-off from last week's question, how many of you keep some kind of notebook where you just kind of take down what it is that you're doing with your plants or what you did when? For example, if I look in mine, 1020, repotted to pond and self-watering, H. brassii, H. hypolasia, H. amicabilis, up-potted to organic mix, H. mindorensis, purple star. Let me know if you do, and let me know if it's physical or electronic. I really like doing it on paper. I even use a fountain pen. And for you young people who don't know what a fountain pen is, it's a device for making marks on paper, and actual ink flows out through the tip and you make your marks. It's very interesting, very unique. Try it sometime. And I even use the secret script of the elderly. I write it all out in cursive. So so let me know what it is you use to keep track, or if you keep track of what you do in your plant adventures. So with that all out of the way, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of time with me this week's end. Please remember to click the thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell to remind you of when I post a new video. It's really cool. I've just got more people now. Of the people who watch, most of you are subscribers. That's very cool, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. A lot of the products that I use or you've seen me mention are available in my Amazon storefront. I get a small commission on the sale of those items, but it doesn't affect your price at all. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the link to my Buy Me a Coffee page in the description. Those are also very much appreciated. Or there's this 3-dot button over here, and you can click on that, and then there should be a button that says thanks, and that's all run through YouTube. There's going to be links to videos over here as usual, and enjoy the rest of your week's end.